Hello and welcome back to another Demis Hellen tutorial. From the previous video where we created some complex ARPs, you can see that video now on screen. We're going to create some layers above that, and I'm just going to show you the creative process. So this is more of a creative thing, and we're going to layer a lead up and maybe something else on top. And we're going to use some very simple techniques of keeping a suspended note in there. It's something that I tend to do a lot in my compositions. So I'll show you what I'm on about and we'll get started. So this is an adaptation of the arpeggiated sequence from yesterday's video. It's the second sequence in the first part. So I just created this kind of falling melody thing here, and then I've just changed the bass notes. So you can get this pattern and you can take this if you so wish to do so. So just pause the video and take that. Right, so that is the style of the track, and obviously the root note is starting on C sharp here. Now this has been transposed, so I'll just show you where it should be. This is where it was yesterday when we was composing. I've pitched it down because I wanted a bit more of a moodier tone to the track. So you can see instead of starting on C, where we did in yesterday's video, I've actually started on D. So let's just keep it there and then we'll transpose it down just so I can remember straight off for the video which chords we're going to play. Right. So you can see it doesn't sound as moody. It's got more of a tense feel, whereas this one, it's just got that natural flow about it. Okay, so we'll keep it in the key that we had it in before. And I'm just going to start the chord with a 2-note chord starting on that E flat, which is here. Okay, so I'm just going to record those in. Let's just get it looping. See, I can already hear where this is going now. I just had this idea that we do some sort of staccato. This is just the creative process taking over now, so we could have that on the start of the next bar. Okay, so the bass falls here. I think what we can do is copy it into the middle, so then we split that chord up. So technically that would be the full chord C, E flat, and G. That will be our triad chord, but I'm missing that middle note out. So all I'm doing is changing from the 3rd and 5th to the 1st and 5th. Okay, sounding good. And to keep that suspended feel, I'm going to keep this G all the way through to the very end. And that's something I tend to do in a lot of my compositions, which gives it that nice feel. Okay, so I'm going to choose the B flat. Now the reason for that is, if we look here, we've got the G in the bass. So all I'm doing is making a chord from G to the B flat. So that would be G, B flat, and D, the chord. So that is my reasoning for that. And then we'll do the same again. We'll have it across the bar like we did at the first bit, and then we'll have a bit of a riser, I think, here. So let's copy this chord back, because if we look at the bass in this, we have a C and then a D rising there. So we're going to copy that back, which is the C, so the 1st and the 5th of that chord, that triad. And then this one, we are going to create another chord. So the bass goes up to D. Now, what chord goes from D as a triad? You'd have the 1st, 3rd, and 5th. So let's have that on the A, which I don't think is going to sound great, as I'm thinking I'm going to opt for the B flat, but let's just see how it sounds first. See, it sounds a little bit out of place. Let's just have that on the sharp. Or the flat of the B, should we say. There, it has that little rise. That sounds perfect. So there you go. That's the first layer. I actually like that because we've got a lot of complexity in here. There's a lot. Oh, don't want to move that. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, and taking some chords and making things sound simple is probably the best move forward for this track. So, kind of going with, say, if we copy that over, let's just delete all these notes here. And we'll quantize them so they're all the same. If I went for that sort of rhythm, let's just get rid of these duplicates here. That would move to there, that to there, and that to there. So if we did this, sounds good, but for me, it's taken away the effort that this arpeggiator is trying to create. Now, I know it's cut off at the moment, the filter is closed, but if we just listen to how it would sound here with the filter opening, and we would need to put it in the same key, so let's just transpose this up as well. So it does have a good effect. It's heard more here because we can hear the arpeggio sequence. The harmonies are warming nicely with this here, but I don't want something so progressive sounding, but I don't want it to sound like there's too much going on. I want people to focus on this. So them chords are just kind of preempting. So if you're wondering, this sound is coming from Nexus. It's one of the factory sounds that came with Nexus, the original number 2, should we say, and it's bit styles. But you have a little bit more control over in Nexus 3 now. So I'm just using that because it's quite a nice sound, and I've never found a good way to implement it into a song because you hear it into so many tracks that are actually out there. So these two have been transposed, so let's transpose these back down. So we've got the root note on C sharp. Let's do the same for these. So we'll get all of these and we'll transpose it down to C sharp on that first chord. There we are. We have everything in key. So let's have a listen. Okay, sounding good. Obviously, there's no closing of the filter on Nexus 3 here, so let's just do that now. In fact, I'm just going to set this to read-write for a second. Yeah, we'll use the filter here. Filter mod, which is already on, so let's control the cut off there, and we'll have some of the envelope. Hopefully... Oh, we have to record this. Okay, just return them back to 0. Right, so there we are. Get rid of that. Oh. It's not the most graceful way to do this, but it's a quick way to get these automation lanes. So let's just start with the filter mod cut and see how this sounds. Okay, yeah, it'll do. Let's just zoom in on this point. I'm just going to make a little bit of a ramp there, bit of a bumped ramp there. More bubbliness using that decay, and I've realised I've got read-write on still, so let's control this here now. Just a little bit too much there. It's easy just to control it on here. That'll do better. want the envelope to be about there. Which is already replicated, I think. Yeah, there we are. So as you can see, I'm not focusing on adding EQ, compression, saturation, reverb. I'm just focusing on getting the sound fitting into the track. It works nicely. It sounds like it should fit with the track. That's the reason that I'm using that sound. Right, so let's add something else in. So this is part of an existing track already. I've got some rapid presets in here. I've got Union in there as well. So why don't we just use... I don't know if that's going to be the right preset for this, and I don't want to change it for the first part. Because the arpeggiated sequence was just like a video idea, and yeah, I don't tend to create tracks together. Right, let's try it. Let's just see what it sounds like. I'll just hit this chord here. Yeah, it's not the right preset, but hey ho, what's this one? This is one that I made, so I don't know if it's in the same chord sequence. And it's obviously in a swung fashion. Right, let's load another one. So we've got bit styles there. We could go to Spire. I haven't used Spire this year yet. This is the first time I have loaded it. Let's use a pluck out of here. Let's just hear what that sounds like. Alright, so we don't want that one, we don't want that one. Okay, let's try that one. It's got a lot of sustain on it, so we'll copy this down. Make sure that's in time. Okay, so let's just get rid of the secondary notes. Transpose down one. I'm just going to gain stage this so we're at the same levels. So I'm just putting this on to get the feel. Okay, just a little bit of side chain on there, and I'm probably going to go a bit less actually. So it's just adding a little bit of atmosphere, and I know from that sound it fits nicely with the track. It doesn't stand out too much, that when I start to go in and process that and give it like a bit of a feel with EQ and things, it's going to sound beautiful. I'm going to cut all the bass out so it's more of a top riding sort of pluck. So we'll just call that pluck top for now. Okay, that is there. And let's add in a bass. So we'll use Spire again, and we'll use my bank here. Where are the basses in this one? See, that's got quite a percussive texture to it, so this should work. So if we copy the ARP down, delete the ARP, we're just left with the bass. Okay, so we're a little bit too low there. And I think if we go a bit higher, it's a little bit too high. Then again, again on the mixer on the other page. I'm just going to gain stage this so it fits with the same levels to start with. That's without the bass. Okay. We'll call this bass groove. This can be the one that it would help if I hit shift. There we are. And we're going to give this the orange colour so we know it's bass. And we'll just put this at the top for now. So there we have it. We've just layered some instruments together. No EQ, nothing at all. I just put a little bit of sidechain using a Fade on this synth here, the pluck one, just to get the vibe of how it's going to sound. There's nothing wrong with doing things like that if you need to just get a quick idea. Put something on the I don't know, the master bus and put one of your favourite plugins on there to master and just quickly see what it's going to sound like without any processing. Does help to see where you are actually going with the sound of your track sonically. So what we've done there is we've taken the arpeggio from yesterday's video. Obviously link on screen for that at the start of the video, and then we've added the Nexus preset, and we've gone in there and we've just altered the filter mod there so we've got a bit more of a subtle feel to it. So then when the cutoff rises, it brings in the full sound and then cuts it back off again. So sounds really nice. Then the pluck top, which is going to sit right on the top, which kind of emphasizes the first note of each chord there. Just to give it a little bit more dimension and extra texture in there. And then finally we've just put this bass groove in here. And what I'm going to do to this bass groove is, at the moment the velocities are quite low. So let's just take these velocities up. Okay, they're all the same. Now, if you think in the real world, if you was playing this on a bass guitar, for example, which I don't think anybody would be playing this particular rhythm, you're going to have velocity differences. So let's have a look. Let's just give... So all the bottom notes I'm going to keep relatively loud. So I'm just going to alter the levels here. Okay, just for this one. Okay, so it starts to add an extra dimension to your sound, especially if the sound is velocity sensitive. We could make this a bit more, so you can see it's not actually being affected. So there's no velocity sensitivity on this patch. That is bad on me. Let's just try that there. There we are. So it gets louder as it gets quieter there. So we want that the other way round on there. So that is really all you need to do. And add some velocity depth to it. So if we do that again. Okay, and then all we have to do is we'll copy them over first. So we've this pattern here is a little bit awkward. So C, C, and then A sharp. So let's copy that over. That's how it went. So what I'm doing is I'm copying these velocity values now over to the next ones. And then we go B flat, C from there. There we are. So now we've got them all copied over. We could just lower that volume again to where it was. And now you've got a bit more dynamic in your bass sound. And it all helps the groove. If you accentuate certain notes, so say you wanted to hear these notes more in the track where there's just these two, increase the volume. And that's as simple as it gets, and then you can have this. So you get a little bit of kind of jumping around. So you don't want it to be too obvious, but you can get some nice grooves in there. And that goes the same with like hat patterns and stuff, using closed hats and all different shaker sounds and things like that. So that all works there. So thank you very much for watching. That video is just all about kind of picking sounds and just feeling the moment of making the music. Don't focus on all the details, not straight away. And this is all, if you just look here, all we've got is Realm and Cyclone on the sound there, and that's only because I've been using it in the previous song, which is further back here on the timeline. And apart from that, we've got Evade that we just put on there, and I've got a bit of EQ there on the ARP. That's it. There is nothing else. Sometimes you just need to cut out the bass on certain sounds, like say the plucks. You don't want all that bass in when there's a bass already happening. Just cut some of those frequencies out, just to get that overall sound to start with, and then start focusing on the details. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and drop me a comment down below. I look at every comment and read all the comments, so if you've been here a while, you already know that. And finally, hit subscribe if you haven't already. 3 videos a week on various music topics. Some of them focusing on trance, and then the rest just on general music production. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.